Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, nice to meet you. Today I'm back with another eyeshadow palette review, and today we're going to be looking at this beautiful small palette from Espoir. This is the Real Eye palette, all new Every Beige palette. Espoir has a wide range of palettes, like they have many different color stories, but their palettes usually tend to look like this. They are smaller, and this is one of their newer palettes, if I'm not mistaken, that comes in this beautiful beige color story and also in a more mauvey pink. I've had this palette for a while in my collection, but I only got around now to talk about it, so without further ado, let's jump into this. Let's get the packaging out of the way. I love how this palette looks. I actually got this palette the same time I got the Pro Tailor Be Glow foundation that has just as much of a beautiful packaging. It looks very artistic, it looks modern, it's just such a beautiful container, and I find that this palette looks so cool with this edge. It just looks stunning. I love the red color of it. I feel like just looking at the palette I was like, I need to have it. It just looks so cool. So yeah, packaging is 10 out of 10 for me. It really stands out amongst my other K-beauty palettes for sure. Now when we look inside, we have a color story that is pretty simple on first glance, but it's one of those palettes that you can actually do many looks with, even though it doesn't look like you will. As the name suggests, Every Beige, this is a beige focused kind of palette. So you will find beige tones in different depths and also in different undertones. So at the very top we have two matte beige colors, one that is like a true beige, one that is more of like a sand colored beige. You have a more salmon toned color and a more peachy toned color. So you have a few kind of base and point colors to choose from. Then you have one khaki brown kind of color. It's a really nice brown color that flatters the palette. It isn't overly warm toned orange. It's more of like a greenish brown. It's like a true brown khaki color in my opinion. And then you have a beautiful deep brown, and it has on its own already such a beautiful smokiness, which makes this palette so good for everyday to semi-smoky type of makeup looks. It's very suitable for that. It's kind of like a palette that you could use to elevate your everyday makeup look. It's a palette that you would use in the morning, do a more natural makeup look, and if you had to go out at night, you could still use this and create a more smoky eye. And alongside of these matte shadows, we also have one very beautiful delicate shimmer. It's not over the top, it's very soft. I'd say it's truly an elegant shimmer. It just gives a little bit of a glow. And then we have one of the most beautiful glitters. It's, I think, the only true gold glitter that I have in my collection. It elevates every eyeshadow so much. A true gold, maybe a little bit of a pink and champagne, but mostly gold. Since I haven't tried other Espoir eyeshadows before, I can only speak for the formula in this one, and I would say that this formula is powdery. It has kickback. If you go in too heavy with your brush into these shadows, you will definitely see powder kicking up and flying around. So be a little bit more delicate with it. I personally, if you have been on my channel, you probably know I don't mind a more powdery eyeshadow because it just makes the eyeshadow blend easier. And since I'm someone who tends to have issues with making my eyeshadow look very seamless and, harsh line free, I really appreciate a formula that is a little bit more powdery. It's super soft. Like when you touch it, it's extremely buttery and smooth. It is just a little bit more fluffy, I would say. It just has a little bit more of a powdery feel to it. So if that's something that you want to stay away from, keep that in mind. And the last thing that I like so much about it is that the jumps from the depth of the eyeshadows isn't like super intense. We don't jump from a light color all the way to this without having other shadows to place in between. If we were to put the shadows next to each other, I think that would be enough of a gradient so that when you are using this, it will in turn help you even more to achieve a more flawless look, because when you go from a light shadow and you blend a very deep color into your crease right away, it can make blending a bit more difficult. So I like that we have a good combination of light lights and darks, mid-tones. But with that being said, you're obviously going to always have some type of beige, brown, warmish eyeshadow. So if you are strictly against warm tones, better check out the other color story that they have. It's so suitable for cool tones, those who love a more mauvey, cool tone color story, but I have a bunch of shadows in my collection already that looked like that, and I wanted something more neutral beige. When I traveled last year, I also took this with me and a more pink toned palette, and I had everything that I needed. I had like my base colors that are very close to my skin tone, so I can create a perfect base layer, and then I had all the browns and smoky tones that I needed in this color story. And with my other pink palette, I literally had everything to do my eyes, and I was always very happy with how my eye makeup looked. And comparing the longevity of this to other palettes, I don't notice any stronger or weaker staying power. It stays on my eye the entire day. So that's it for the palette overview for now, and if you want to know how I actually did this eye makeup, we'll jump into the demo right now. Since this palette, as I told you, is perfect for a like semi-smoky eye, I think I want to do something like that. To start off, like I always do, I'm going to lay a base color down, so I will be mixing the beige shade at the top with this more peachy beige color, and this is going to go all over my lid, and whatever is left on the brush I blend into my crease. I do this so that everything else blends better and it'll just look more cohesive. Other shadows won't look out of place. I think it just makes the eye makeup look a lot smoother and better. Since these colors are very light and they are beige, obviously it's not going to look super insane on the eye. It just makes, again, for such a good everyday palette. I'll be using this brown shade, and this is going to go into my outer V and crease. To add more depth and make it look a little bit more smoky, I'll be using the darkest color, using the same brush, but I'll dip in very lightly into the shadow and do small circular motions on my outer V. Tap off the excess so it isn't too much. Before I line my eyes, I'm going to add a little bit of glitter, and this palette has one of the prettiest soft glitters I've ever seen because of the color. This is such a beautiful glitter to apply on top of anything where you want to add a little bit of a warm gold sparkle without being too yellow or too orange copper toned. I'm going to use my ring finger and apply a little bit. And to brighten up the inner corner, I'm going to use this champagne shade at the bottom. See, it adds some brightness, but it isn't over the top. Also applying it to my nose because I didn't apply any highlighter today there. The eyeliner is on, so it's time to smoke it out and make everything look a little bit more smoky, I guess. So I'm using again the darkest shade. So I really took my time smoking it out, blending it out. I feel like it is a process, and you should go step by step so that it looks as hazy and smoky as possible and not just like a stark dark line. I just applied my mascara to finish off the eye, and this is how I would do one of the looks using this palette. I want to give you a quick final thoughts. This palette really has everything you would need for an everyday beige, brownish kind of makeup look. I feel like this is something that will match any wardrobe, any outfit, any cheek and lip combination. Like that this palette offers you not just mattes, you have a beautiful, soft, delicate shimmer and a stunning glitter. It goes from light to deep, so I feel like you can do a lot even with this small of a size palette. They are slightly powdery like I mentioned before. I don't mind it personally, but I wanted again to mention it in case it is something that bothers you. So that's it for today. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, give me a thumbs up. It means so much to me, and I would love to see you next week with a new video. And until then, please take care. Bye!